Hello everybody, and welcome to Recommended. For those unfamiliar, this is a show all about recommending things I like that I feel haven't received enough positive attention. With that in mind, let's talk about a book. One of my big motivations in creating this series was to broaden the scope of the things I recommend. Not just beyond the world of video games, but into the realm of things that I believe others may enjoy or appreciate more than I do for various reasons. As such, I have something a bit different for you folks to consider this time. Do you like your horror rough and gritty? Are you a fan of delving into the details and minutiae of a kill, or a raunchy sex scene, or even a trip to a convenience store for a bottle of sweet tea? If so, have I got a book for you. In a lot of ways, Boondock Butcher, the first standalone novel from veteran serial writer Chuck Buda, feels like reading two screenplays, one for a vintage horror film of the 1980s and another for a 1990s psychological or supernatural thriller that were thrown into the air and zealously combined together as their pages were eagerly gathered up and reassembled. That might be a good thing or a bad thing depending on your own personal taste. But the end result is a book that frequently shifts between the methodical, building tension of a mystery thriller and the over-the-top gusto of an extreme horror splatterpunk gore fest. I'm not gonna lie, there are parts of this book that I genuinely didn't care for, like the occasional reliance on a few negative and outdated stereotypes as a substitute for proper character and narrative development. In particular, I dislike the horror movie logic applied to the words, thoughts, and actions of pretty much every character at one point or another. Indeed, I quickly lost count of the number of times someone said or did something, not because it was anything likely to occur in any version of reality, but because it served to move the plot forward in an obviously contrived manner. Of course, one could certainly make the argument that this may have been an intentional homage to the sort of brain-dead behavior exhibited by characters in the aforementioned slasher flicks, but I still found it jarring and off-putting enough times to note it. Additionally, there was some pacing, tonal consistency, and technical issues throughout the book that, while individually minor, did cumulatively diminish my overall enjoyment of the experience, as their number grew to a total that became impossible to ignore completely by the end of the read. All that said, I did ultimately end up enjoying Boondock Butcher for what it is. A fun, well-intentioned romp through the backwoods of eastern Tennessee that's certainly worth experiencing for fans of the genres it embodies. It may seem as though I'm being particularly harsh on this book, and in some ways I suppose I am, primarily because I think it's important that potential readers thoroughly understand what they're in for, as I believe that will likely dictate how positive or negative their experience with it will be. For me, there are a number of good and noteworthy things about Boondock Butcher that make it a compelling read, but there are also elements of it that frustrated or disappointed me. Being aware of at least some of the backstory behind the book's creation, I can't help feeling that its true significance lies in being an important step in the author's evolution, being not only his first standalone work, but also his first written using a new methodology. I've always seen a lot of potential in Chuck Buda's writing, and I'd say that one of the most interesting things about Boondock Butcher are the glimpses it gives of where he may be headed creatively. Consequently, I'm really looking forward to seeing him continue to advance his craft in future efforts, even as I'm certain that other readers of this book may find more to like within its pages than I did. In short, I not only recommend Boondock Butcher, but highly recommend exploring Buda's other works and keeping an eye out for his upcoming releases. Having said all that, I'm going to bring this episode to a close. Hopefully you folks have enjoyed it. Until next time, be sure to poke that like button, or the dislike button if that's your thing, and subscribe to see more videos from me in the future if you haven't already. I definitely recommend it.